You could really play around forever today with unarmed, because you'd have screeds of legalities just in there, depending on how you define arms, with high tech, etc. Fixed-wing aircraft to gather information about the military forces and activities of other states parties from Vancouver to Vladivostok. The treaty also envisages, now this is the little clause that's the real reason. This is a little clause that is the real reason, not the camouflage. The treaty also envisages the possible extension of the open skies regime to additional areas. They always do get the law in the books and expand it, you see, to the real purpose. To additional areas such as crisis management and protection of environment. That's the real reason, not the very good reason, but the real reason for the Open Sky Treaty. The treaty also envisages the possible extension, envisage is to see ahead, you see, the possible extension of the Open Skies regime, military term, regiment, regime, to additional areas such as crisis management and protection of environment. Now, that tells you why would something to do with military establishments and nuclear weaponry, etc., why would they have to go into crisis management and protection of environment? Protection, not observation, but protection of environment. And below it has treaty members. There are more joining all the time, because this is happening on a world scale, and when you see the amount of stuff that's sprayed daily pretty well over your own heads, you realize this is drifting for hundreds and hundreds of miles, and sometimes thousands of miles, to other countries, that ultimately no one can stay away from it. However, these are the main treaty members, and they will see the spraying over their heads, which has nothing to do, obviously, with observation. These aren't condensation trails. Condensation trails, as an aircraft comes across the horizon, you'll see it a few hand spans behind the craft. You'll see the tail of the condensation disappearing, as moisture would have to. It can't sit there forever like a big icicle. The ones we see are not condensation, they're chemical. And remember what I just read, the treaty also envisages the possible extension of the open skies regime to additional areas such as crisis management and protection of environment. The treaty's 35 states parties are Belarus, Belgium, Bosnia and Herzegovina, Bulgaria, Canada, Croatia, the Czech Republic, Denmark, Estonia, Finland, France, Georgia, Germany, Greece, Hungary, Iceland, Italy, the Kriegsrepublik, Latvia, Lithuania, Luxembourg, the Netherlands, Norway, Poland, Portugal, Romania, the Russian Federation, Slovakia, Slovenia, Spain, Sweden, Turkey, Ukraine, United Kingdom, and the United States of America. Several other states have declared their intent to accede. The real intent of the Open Skies Treaty was simply to deal with a threat from out there, the environment, you see. But it's also to do with controlling people, crisis management. Remember, this is a United Nations effort, and the World Health Organization, that's part of the United Nations, already years ago talked about lacing certain water supplies with tranquilizers to calm people who might just want to get rather nasty if their country was being taken over. That's on record. And people have been noticing the effects of the heavy spraying, sometimes on themselves and on people around them. So I think they're using chemicals for multi-purposes here. But definitely, if you understand how an elite work in their headspace, you would use every weapon at your disposal on the general public if your plan is to take that same public through the biggest transition phase from one complete lifestyle to another. You don't want them thinking about things. You don't want their minds to be active. You want to avoid people complaining, forming groups and all that kind of stuff. So you would use everything in your arsenal to keep them dumb and stupid.
So would the jet planes then be carrying it in their fuel?
It could be in the fuel and it could be in extra tanks. They can do it either way.
Yeah. But then the pilots that are flying these planes, they have to know that there's an extra tank on it?
Oh, they know what they're doing because, see, if they were commercial aircraft, they wouldn't be doing zigzag patterns across the sky.
Hell no, they wouldn't.
That's a very drunken pilot taking passengers in the long mission.
No, but I was thinking of the military planes.
Oh, yeah. They know what they're doing. And I think it's foreign pilots that will spray over Canada and the U.S., and the deal is that our pilots will be over there spraying their countries, kind of like a Dr. Strangelove policy, you see?
Yeah.
And that makes perfect sense. But no, it's not commercial aircraft because you can actually see the commercial aircraft with the usual contrail disappearing about a foot after.
And they're flying very, and they're flying very, very high.
Yes, and in a straight line. Whereas these guys do, as you say, checkerboard patterns. I've seen them do U-turns as well, and the stuff that they lay down forms these odd-looking polymer clouds. Now, we know that the polymer, and that's what gives the rainbow bursts around the sun towards sunset.
And what is polymer?
Pardon?
What is polymer?
Polymer is basically forms of plastic particles from polyethylene. They found in the 1950s that they could use this particular compound to bring viruses and bacteria down to a vast area, cover a large area, and the polymer was the carrying agent. That was officially disclosed in the 1950s, and they were actually testing some areas in Britain with it then, to see if it would carry viruses or bacterium down to the ground. And being under a national health system, of course, they could have all the data of how many people had asthma or different effects, etc.
Sure.
So all the testing has been done, and they're doing it for real now, you know. I'm sure it will also weaken the immune system. We know for sure there's aluminum oxide in it, and barium.
Barium.
And
now, what is the aluminum oxide?
Aluminum oxide does a few things. It can be used in conjunction